What's up, guys? It's Rayquotez Butler back again with another episode of the Relentlessly Becoming podcast. And today we have a very, very amazing conversation planned for you guys. I want to start it off just as I do any other episode with asking you a question to provoke a thought before we get into the root of the conversation today. And my question for you is, how often do you get the opportunity to hear Black men discuss and share how they feel truly? How often do you get that opportunity? Oftentimes with Black men, we're put into positions where we're not able to share our emotions. We're not able to talk about things that we've gone through, most of the time because how we were raised, like concrete, or because of socioeconomic status, or because we just don't have the words. In several capacities, we go through situations and have to navigate journeys on our own. Well, today we break the mold and we change that by having a very important conversation around being broken but bouncing back. I have a very amazing guest here with me today, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear what we're about to uncover in today's episode of Relentlessly Becoming. Stay tuned, and we'll be right with you in a second. Opportunity, emotion, grit, relentlessness. Cling to the sound of my voice and understand that what you want wants you. What you need needs you, and you are relentlessly becoming relentlessly better. Welcome to the Relentlessly Becoming podcast. Let's go. All right, guys, thank you again for tuning in with me and welcome back. As you all can see, I have a very, very important and special guest here with me today. The reason why my line is just always so crispy. I call this man Bryce Blades of Glory Line Touched by Jesus. My barber, my trainer. He's a singer. He's a business owner. He does a plethora of things. And I couldn't be more excited to have Bryce here. He started cutting my hair back in 2021. We were talking about the other day at the gym through a mutual connection of mine. And it's like I went to his apartment when he first moved to Dallas. He was only here like a couple of days. I went to his apartment. He cut my hair. We had a really amazing conversation. I was digging the haircut. And for the last almost 4 years, we've been rocking with each other. And he's the only person that I trust in my head, and we're to the point where I can sit down in the chair and I don't even have to tell him what I want. He automatically knows what to do in my head. And then there are times where he also recommends to me, this is how important a Black man's barber is to him. He recommends to me in different seasons how he thinks my haircut should be, and I trust him enough to do it. And I've never had a situation where I didn't like my haircut. And so I couldn't be more excited to have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Bryce Blades in the building with me. What's up, Bryce?
What's going on? What's going on?
Thankful to have you here today. So I want to start off with you taking a minute to introduce yourself to the viewers. Tell them who you are. Tell them a little bit about you, where you're from, different things like that.
Okay, well, I'm Bryce Dean. That's my last name. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I've been in Dallas for maybe 3.5 years, almost 4 years. I'm a celebrity barber, a trainer. I also do fitness training. I also do bartending services. You know, I just got a lot of things on my plate, you know.
Jack of all trades. Jack of all trades.
Do a little singing too, but I ain't gonna do that today.
He does sing as well. So if you guys go to my Instagram and you look at a couple of pictures of me from 2021, Bryce is the reason why I was a cow in one picture and I was as slim as a chameleon in another one. But we are back in the lab, and I can guarantee y'all in 90 days that I will be completely different back on my fitness journey. We're on like week 2, and I'm already down like 6-7 pounds.
8 pounds
already.
Right.
8 pounds. I'm cutting myself short. But if you follow his methods, there's definitely a method to the madness, and you will get the results. I cannot stand him in the gym. I like him much better as a barber, but I am so appreciative for how he pours into me. And so as we uncover some conversation today, I kind of want to step into, just allowing you to kind of share a little bit of your backstory and then bringing us up to speed. So how we're going to start off today is really just allowing you to tell us what brought you to Dallas. Like, I want you to paint that picture for us of what kind of got you kicked off to wanting to come to Dallas, because originally you're from Memphis, Tennessee, which is also 2 hours from my hometown. And so that was something that resonated with me too, because I always love people from Memphis. I got a lot of family in Memphis, and I feel like Memphis and Mississippi are so, connected with each other all the time. And so you moved here to Dallas, and I'd love to hear, as we dig into the weeds of the onion, a little bit about what brought you here to Dallas and how you got that start.
Well, in Memphis, Tennessee, I left right after COVID. So my plan was to come here with my significant other and open a business, a barbershop or a salon. We currently had a salon in Memphis, but as you know, when COVID hit, they shut all the salons and stuff down, and we couldn't keep our workers, and so we just wanted to change the pace.
Yeah.
So we came here. It wasn't my choice, but the significant other I was with, I always wanted to move to Dallas. So, we rented a U-Haul and we did it,
And you and her both did hair
Yes.
at the same time. So you cut hair and she was a stylist at the time. And
Our salon was called the King and Queen Lounge.
the King. And it was also like y'all did the fitness together and y'all did the bartending together when I first met you guys. Y'all had King Queen Fitness, King and Queen Bartending, and King and Queen salons. And so y'all moved to Dallas. I know you came, you and the boys, and I remember coming over to y'all's house. And y'all were doing, she was doing a client's hair on one side of the house, you were cutting hair on the other side of the house. And I remember, just getting to have that conversation with y'all. And so y'all kind of put that plan together in that dream. And was it like a struggle getting here, or was it a hard time getting everything together? Because you had been in Memphis so long, and she had been there and all of that stuff. So was it difficult getting everything together and moving from Memphis to Dallas?
So actually it wasn't. So the way I just told you, we packed up we rented a U-Haul, packed up and just left. That's how it happened. And everything was going like I thought it should go, So everything went smooth.
For the most part. So for the people in Memphis who are thinking about taking that leap and taking those opportunities, what do you want to tell the people back home who's kind of looking to get out of their comfort zone and do something that they've never done before?
Now, I will say, be prepared for a price increase.
That's true.
This place, this is full of opportunity, full of, the money is different. But be prepared for, Memphis is kind of like a Southern hospitality kind of place.
Yeah.
Dallas is not quite like that, so just be prepared for a difference in the people and kind of a difference in the price ranges, because if you're not ready to come down here like that, it can be difficult. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Yeah. It can be difficult, but if you, relentless, if you're relentless about it, you're going to come up here.
Yeah.
And it's just, you're going to make more money than you do in Memphis. You're going to meet more people, different kinds of people, different kinds of places. Yeah, so I say jump. I say if you want to leap.
Yeah. And what's been really your experience dealing with, because you talked about it's different here, you make more money, and Memphis is more hospitable in different areas. What's been your experience with working with different people and being in the different shops that you've been in? Because you've only been in two, so you were in one, and you literally after almost 3 years just transitioned to your own suite in another. You had your own suite there, and now you're in your own suite in a different shop. What's your experience being with working with different types of people and stuff like that?
Okay, so when I first got into the shop, I was on the floor just like everybody else, but I quickly realized that the type of clientele I wanted was going to be a different kind of clientele than that was on the floor. I ain't putting the shop down or nothing, but it was kind of loud music, and I just don't have that kind of clientele.
Yeah.
But so eventually I moved into a suite, and that was the best thing I ever did, because all of my clients, they liked it better. They liked the privacy. We got to talk one-on-one. Me and my clients kind of turned into, it was more of a family, you know what I'm saying? So, but when I got here, my prices, we want to talk about that. My prices were $40.
$50.
I think when I first got here, it was $40. I came from 40, and I remember one day I had one up to 50. This guy came in, he was like, "Man, you got to show me some Instagram or something, because I'm not paying $50. And I was just the kind of guy well, it's a whole bunch of other barbers in here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he went and asked everybody else. And at the end of him doing that, he came back to me. He was like, "Man, I'm going to give you a chance." I never forget that. And this guy has been my client ever since. He ain't went nowhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went from that $50 to when I went in my suite, I went up to $75. And now, by the grace of God, I'm $100 barber, 100 and up. So that's what we
and
do.
100 is the flat line.
Yeah.
Like you,
That's the minimum.
Yeah. The more you go up in the experience, the more it goes up. But you really hit on a important piece, and I think it's something that we don't get the experience of having a lot of people tell us as African American men, understanding and knowing your worth, and also being able to look out and get an understanding of where you're going.
Yeah.
I think that it is very important that we take the opportunity to have people to show us examples of that, and how, you didn't just leap out when you first got here and say, oh, I'm gonna go to $100 because I'm in Dallas, but you really took that time to like hit those different benchmarks to be able to say, you know what, I've graduated to this point. Now I recognize that I have the capacity to be in this level, and I've reached a different atmosphere, and I have a different type of clientele. So I want to make sure that I'm able to hone in on that clientele. And I know I was one of the clients who was extremely happy when you moved to the suite, because I hated being out in gin pop, as I called it, with everybody else. But that's just really good to hear that. And what a lot of people don't know, but those who get to experience you, is they don't know how forward thinking you are. Like, you are always talking about a plan, or talking about a what's next, or talking about a way to hustle, or talking about a way to get it. And I think that is a prime example for us as men in general, but black men especially, is really, really having the opportunity to hear somebody like put that into fruition. Because one of the most important relationships I know as a black man, and the black men in my family have outside of their spouse and their family, is their relationship with their barber. Like, I'm gonna see you consistently. Me, I see you at least 3 times a month. Now that we're going to the gym, I see you 3 times a week training, and my 1 time a week for the haircut. So I'm seeing you literally 4 times a week sometimes. And so that is a very important relationship for a black man. We love grooming, most of us. We're gonna make sure we have a tight line. We're gonna and that's just something that my dad, I have to give that to him, instilled in my brother and I. We're gonna get our haircut. We're never gonna leave out the house looking raggedy. We're gonna always have a nice outfit on. We're gonna always have a fresh lineup. That's just something that's extremely important. My brother does it, my dad does it, we do it, his brothers do it, my grandfather, his brothers do it. And so I would love for you to share with the viewers your take on thinking ahead. How important is that, to think ahead and be able to pull that out of yourself and channel that energy, especially in the face of defeat? Because a lot of us don't get that leverage and that support. And when you get to talking about, and I talked about that in a previous episode of the podcast, when you get to talking about things that you're anticipating doing, you get so much opposition, and you find out who's really behind you, who's going to laugh at you, and who doesn't want to see you win. So share a little bit with the viewers about the importance of really honing in and tuning out that noise, and why that is important to push yourself to that height.
Well, I think it's always very important to think ahead. Like, you don't never want to stay in the same place you were in, because a lot of times you don't belong there. You know what I'm saying? And it's important for me because I faced a lot of adversity while trying to go forward. And, sometimes it was just like the hardest thing I ever dealt with. Like, I lost my mom. I lost my sister. The hurt that I felt from this situation when I moved here, trying to go forward, was like none of that. Like, that was low level. And, some people say, how could you say losing your mom is low level? You got to experience it to understand. But one thing you got to do, you got to keep God first. That's the main thing you got to do. Because it's a pain that you can't fix. No doctor can give you nothing for it. True. They can't. I mean, it's nothing you can do about it. But pray and try to keep going. So that's what I do all the time, man. You know what I'm saying? Anytime adversity hit me, I just try to say, Bryce, the only way you're going to get out of it is go forward. You can't go back. So if you can't go back, then it's only one way to go.
Or stand still, and we ain't standing still.
Stand still.
We ain't standing still.
Sometimes, though, you do got to be still.
You do.
Because you got to listen. Sometimes when you trying to, you're doing everything you can, you're trying to keep busy because you're so hurt. Because sometimes God just wants you to sit still for a minute and listen.
Yeah.
And I went through that and a lot more.
Yeah. And I think that's the perfect segue for us to kind of go into that conversation of honing in on that brokenness. And so break that down a little bit for us when you hit that pit and kind of experience, being heartbroken and having to sit in that and all of those emotions. What was life like at that time? And I know, and other people who are connected with kind of your experience of walking through that journey, which is why I felt like having you share this story for this specific segment was so important, because I've seen you like at the beginning, I've seen you in the pit, but I've also seen you like work your way out of that.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to see a story, and you're still like, the work doesn't stop; it continues. It's an everyday thing, and so going into that pit and being broken is the highlight of that episode. So talk to us about that pit, like what happened and hitting that pit. Talk to us about that.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say this person's name, none of that, and I still really much respect her, and in my eyes, this lady can't do no wrong. Let me say that first. But when me and her parted ways, it was so hard for me because I told you that, we started a salon together and all that, right? But we went to school together. We graduated together, like hair school, that's what we, and we just started building a bunch of things, you know what I'm saying? So in my mind, my dreams she was a part of my dreams. So it was so devastating for me because I lost a best friend. Like, I'm kind of, what you call those people that just stay to themselves a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm one of those people. Mm-hmm. So when I lost this person, after having all these abandonment issues, with my mom dying, with, so many things happening in my life, I'm kind of the black sheep of the family. Mm-hmm. It devastated me to the point where, man, I ain't even want to live no more, to be honest. I didn't want to live. And the thing that sustained me was my kids, right? So you got to find a why. Why do you want to keep going? Yeah. My kids was it. I ended up wrecking my car during the process of me trying to navigate through what I was going through. Mm-hmm. And like maybe 2 weeks later, my kids ran away. So now, as I find my why, hold on.
That's right. Take that moment. Let it out. That's exactly why we get to share these type of stories, because we as black men don't really get the experience of being able to talk about having our heart broken, having these different things happening, like, because it's real, and you're not the only one that gets to experience these things. So many of us have the experience, but we don't have an outlet to tell them to. We don't have a platform to watch them on, and we don't have an example to tell us how we can get out. And so all of those things happening, the fact that you're still here to tell the story is amazing, because some people don't make it beyond that point. And the fact that you were strong enough to didn't want to be strong, but had no other choice. Yeah, you were able to still be able to be here. So, we glad that you're here, and I appreciate you for telling your story.
So, to keep going, my kids ran away. I had them. Their mother was killed in Memphis, so I had custody of my kids, and when the things happened, I just, put all my strength in them. You know what I'm saying? I tried my best to, spend time with them through it. You know what I'm saying? Because they, true enough, they took a loss too. Yep. It's been a while since they had a motherly figure, and that was that for them. As much as she was a person for me, you know what I'm saying, my person. Mm-hmm. So, after that, things, I just started getting real stressed out. You know what I'm saying? I thought I had came into a point where I was going to be all right. But I got stressed out. I ended up being so stressed out that I suffered kidney failure, and I have a cardiomyopathy with my heart. So the things that I was used to, I ain't used to no more. You know, I can barely I used to be a gym freak. You know that, right?
Yeah.
You know, so some of the stuff I was used to, it just altered my whole life.
Yeah.
So, but I kept going, man. You know, life gets like that a lot of times, but I made up in my mind that I wasn't gonna quit and I was gonna put God first and I was gonna listen to whatever He told me to do. Yeah. And that's what I did, man.
Yeah. And I think that is one of the points where getting to, because we built, not only was I your client, I became like a little brother to you.
Yes, sir.
You know, and oftentimes we'll have a lot of in-depth conversations, come to the shop. And I know at a point I noticed that you had kind of retreated a little bit. Absolutely. And that's when I started checking in on you, making sure you were okay, making sure you're right.
Y'all here in 15 minutes.
Quick, you know. I'm like, golly, this man want to get us away. But it had become a point where it was more than just a haircut. Yeah. Like, we built such a big bro, little bro relationship. It's like your well-being matters to me. You know, your well-being is important, and making sure that you're at this point. And sometimes we'll come into the shop and we'll pray. Mm-hmm. You know, we talking to God, we talking about God, we talking about ways to make it through. And I think that depicts what a true, you know, barber client, big bro, little bro relationship can entail if you really lean in and build that trust, you know, and get into to be there while you were experiencing all of these things. It was tough to watch, but it was rewarding to see how much you worked to still, you know, show up every day. Whether you felt like it, whether you were excited, whether you were happy. And I think that is one of the things that I want to touch on for Black men. Even though we don't get the outlet, even though we don't get the opportunity to share as much, I think that it is important that we never get into a phase where we stop showing up. Mm-hmm. The moment that you quit is the moment that you are defeated.
Yeah, thanks.
You only lose when you do not fight. Mm-hmm. As long as you get up every day, as long as you fight, as long as you got breath in your body, as a Black man, you have no other choice but to, because you have so many other people who are watching you. But you also have so many people who want to see you defeated because of their mindset.
Absolutely.
It could be other Black men. It could be women. It could be people at your job. It could be people at your church. You never know. You cannot stop showing up. I know for me, having my heart broken has to be one of the most traumatic experiences, because I often say I grieve it like a death. That's how much I lean into being a lover and loving. And when I try to relay it to people, it's like you can't even put in words. You ever been so broken where you can't put it in words? You can't say this is what I feel. You feel like it's literally a weight on your chest. You don't understand why I can't sleep at night. You don't understand why I can't eat, why I can't get this out of my head, why I can't think straight, because you're literally in a phase where you are grieving what was, but we oftentimes don't acknowledge that we grieve what could have been too. Absolutely. And I think that that's the hardest part to let go. What was isn't always hard. It's what you paint in your mind of what could have been, how dreams could have come true if we would have made it. And so I don't think, which is why we often see, you know, we always hear about Black men create broken homes. Yep. That's in any culture, not just Black men, but we always hear it with us. But we never get to dissect why Black men are creating so many broken homes. If you put a broken man in a home, he's going to break the home. Yeah. How do we fix broken men? What is the outlet that we take to allow them to build that trust and to have those conversations to be able to move forward so that we can mitigate Black men creating broken homes?
Well, I think, especially in the home, like, I think we should allow, well, your people, whoever in the house, they should allow you to be more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because we ain't always tough, man. We be going through some heavy shit. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I've never, and this is why they hit hard too. I've never been able to be vulnerable in a relationship. This was everything.
Yep.
This provided me everything that I needed for my mental. So this was the first time, and I can say I've been in love before. I haven't. That was it. Yeah, this is the first time. And, you know, you never really realize that until something happened. You know, so it's been 3.5, 4 years, you know what I'm saying? And although I'm moving forward, it's not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not healed.
Yep.
And I can admit that. And most people, you know, most relationships you be in, you can't admit that. You not here, you need I might need you. I might need that love from you to heal.
Yeah.
And I just think as long as people show a little grace, grace is missing in this world, man. We always want to do things our way, and we don't want to give nobody no grace, bro. We don't want to try to understand instead of demand. You know, you want to demand some things, but you don't want to understand what I'm going through. Yep. I've dealt with a lot of abandonment through my whole life. So trying to heal that while being abandoned, it's a hard thing to do. Yeah. You know, by your kids, by your significant other, like this, it's not an easy thing to do. And this is something I didn't say in the beginning. I'm here in Dallas by myself. I don't have any family here. I don't have anybody I can call and say, man, come check on me. Unless, you know, my friends like you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times it's hard to do. Yep. Because you think you're going to be judged. You think you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
I just show a little grace.
I know that's extremely important. And one of the things that I really like that you just said is about the point of being vulnerable. I can remember growing up, the first time that I saw my dad cry, from when I was born until when I was 14 years old, the first time I seen my dad cry was when his firstborn died, my sister. Yeah. After that, the second time I seen my dad cry was when his favorite cousin got killed in a car accident. Other than that, any other time that there were things going on in our household, I never really got to see my dad display emotion. And my mom is a very emotional person. Yeah. So my mom is big on opening an outlet. She is also a counselor herself. So she asks those digging questions to us, to him, you know, to give that opportunity. But I think that when I look at the men with the last name Butler in my family, yeah, we don't really have the opportunities to share the vulnerability and the emotion. Because when you think about Butler in my neighborhood, we good looking men. Yeah. That's what we known for. We known for being nice looking men. We known for, you know, other things that I don't typically partake in, but they do. You know, it's a bunch of things that tag on to having this last name. People know my last name a lot, you know, where I'm from, and they know what my last name holds, which has its pros and also has its cons. But I can't say that I've ever really heard conversations where the men in my family were able to be vulnerable and share the things that hurt them. I don't think that they were raised with that trait, you know, and I think that has often passed down from generation to generation. And I know, you know, my dad did the best he could with what he could. Yeah, yeah. And so, you know, you can't be emotional off the bat if you weren't taught. Yeah. But I am also grateful to my mom for giving us an outlet to share that emotion, my brother and I, but also being a person who worked with my dad and understanding the importance of us sharing that emotion. Yeah. You know, as she grew in her education, she was able to have conversations with him, and he got a better understanding to the point where he started asking questions like she would ask to say, you know, how do y'all feel about this or different things like that. And so I think that is a depiction of work that can be done. And so sometimes your partner does influence that. Yeah, but then what do you do when you don't have that partner is the question. When you don't have that person beside you, what
When
do
you
do?
don't have that person beside you, most people lean to their family or something like that. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have that.
Yep.
You know, my dad, shouts out to my pops. He a great man, you know what I'm saying? But he dealt with his own emotional trauma. You know, he lost his wife from 23 years, bro. You know what I'm saying? He lost his mom. He got one brother left out of 6 brothers. You know what I'm saying? He got his own trauma going on. And sometimes he tries his best, but sometimes he's not able to identify.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or he's not really he can't feel where I'm coming from. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, to him sometimes it's like, well, boy, that's a girl, you know what I'm saying? How your dad do sometimes. Boy, get you another one. Nah, Pops, it ain't that. It ain't, you know what I'm saying? And to touch on what you said about, you know, the Butlers. Where I'm from, we them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we them, so it's kind of like, man, what you tripping over, bro? You got all these, you know what I'm saying? I got a little cool little social media following and all that, TikTok. It ain't hard for me to get a woman. It's hard for me to get that love I want.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? It's difficult to do, bro.
Yeah. I see that come into play all the time. We always talk about, you know, we always hear, as a black man, you need to protect.
Yeah.
As a black man, or as a man, period. Not just
Provide,
black, but
protect,
it's really,
yeah.
you know, honed in. You need to protect. You need to pay these bills. You need to make sure we got food on the table. You need to make sure you can do this and do that for us, which is fine and dandy. Because one thing about me, I know for a fact, I'm the type of man that if you with me, I know how to hold the house down.
Yeah,
if I can't do nothing else, I will pay every bill. Because I do it now. I done bought a house.
Yeah.
I got my you know, condo downtown. I done bought the house out. I done did all that.
Yeah.
I could take you, if we together, you say I want to go build a house, I done already did that. Let's go do it. We're going to build you whatever kind of house you want. The mortgage, you ain't coming off a dime for no mortgage. I got that. My living here in Dallas, I've never experienced a bill being cut off. I've never experienced a lack or anything because I'm a natural provider. And that's what a lot of people don't know about me.
Yeah.
That, you know, because I get a rep for being a little soft. I am, and I'm rooted in myself, and I'm happy about it. And I'm not ashamed. I used to hate it, but now I'm glad of who I am. I'm glad I am a little soft. I am a little emotional. But that rah-rah kick in when it's time to survive.
And I can say this about that relationship I was in. When we first got here, I wasn't who I am now. You know what I'm saying? It was a beginning, a new beginning where I had to work from the ground up, right? So I'm not going to sit here and act like, you know, I have no fault in it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because it was times where I didn't, you know, couldn't pay the bills by myself, you know what I'm saying? And I think that for a lot of women, they kind of turn them off sometimes, and it's cool, you know what I'm saying? You know, but I knew who I was going to be. I knew what I was going to do. I just needed the time to do it.
Yep.
And like I say, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. When my significant other moved here, she hit the ground running. But she had friends here, you know what I'm saying? I had nobody.
Yeah.
So I had to build. And I just don't think we gave it adequate time, and you know what I'm saying? From my perspective.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know really what, you know, hers was, but from my perspective, it just was a time thing, you know what I'm saying?
Just had to put that work in.
Yep, and now I know, ladies, y'all be wanting them, I ain't 6 feet, but I'm 6 figures, though. Yeah, so, yeah.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
I like it. That's a good one. That's a good one.
So I'm making 6 figures effortlessly. You know, I go to work Thursday through Saturday or whatever, and, you know, although God has put me through these challenges, and I know that.
For a reason. Yeah.
And I know that although he put me through these challenges, he be having my back the whole way. You know, I stay going through stuff, but guess what I also do? I get through it every time. And as long as I keep my faith in him, I'm going to keep going, no matter what.
That's that grit. And, you know, I've learned in relationships, you know, and it's different for everybody. Sometimes it's gonna be 70-30.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's gonna be 50-50.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm gonna have 100% and you ain't gotta do nothing. You know, it's different for everybody based on your household.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's important that you don't let societal standards ruin what's in your house.
Because it sure do.
Society, it's important that you don't do that. If you know that y'all are in a working state. Now, it's a difference between getting you somebody who really trying to build and getting you somebody who lazy.
Yeah.
Now, I ain't saying get in the house to be lazy, put all the responsibility on the woman, have her pay all the bills, she got to come up with it, and you just mooch out her. But no, if you're with somebody and you really trying to build and you communicating it, you know, you stay down until you come up, and that happens. And you make sure you put those benchmarks in place to show that work coming up. But what I love that you briefly touched on, and I want to go into, is that accountability piece.
Yeah, facts.
You know, how is it from your perspective that we as black men could be more accountable? One, so from two points of view. One, be more accountable for how we show up and allow ourselves to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then two, be more accountable for our actions that we take in our failing relationships.
Absolutely.
Because we can't just put it all on the significant other.
Oh, no,
and
not at all.
We can't not address where we go wrong.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about, from your perspective, where you think it's important that we, one, show up and be vulnerable and have accountability for how we show up and be vulnerable, and then two, have accountability for how we sometimes ruin good relationships.
Well, I say this. Communication is the number one key to everything.
For sure.
For me, I've always been a kind of ducked off kind of guy. Let me handle it. I got it. You know what I'm saying? And not really communicating with my significant other about what's going on with me.
Yeah.
So for that, that's some of the part I played in it. Like if I'm a Pisces, y'all. So if I'm mad or confused or sad, I get quiet. I don't want to talk. And for some people, that's not how they live their life. They might think that you are pushing them away, or, you know what I'm saying, you just don't want to be around them. And I can say I've been that kind of person. But it's not that I wanted to push people away. It's just how I handle tough situations.
Yeah.
And I think going forward, this place of loneliness has taught me that, Bryce, you can't handle things like that. You got to talk. You got to communicate. If something going wrong with you, you need to, I need to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Especially financial, mental. Because mental health, man, we go through some stuff that we don't talk about to nobody. And if you don't get it out, it's going to stay in there. So we got to start opening our mouth, man, for real. Like, at this point, it's do or die. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We got to open our mouth. You know how many times in that first year, I can say this. I wanted to kill myself every day. I wasn't getting no sleep. I didn't sleep for probably 45 days. I didn't eat for 30 days. I didn't have no outlet, nobody to talk to. That's why I say my kids was my why. But when they left, now what is your why? If you've established this person you care about so much is the reason that you keep going, because it went for me. If I was by myself, y'all would not be seeing me on this podcast. It's just what it is. But my kids, I knew for them I had to keep going. And when they left, I didn't know what to do. My health fading. You know, all this stuff going on with me. What do I do now? Who do I turn to? The only person I could turn to. God, that's it.
That's it.
I had to. Because before, I ain't gonna lie, when I was in my relationship, and that might have been a thing too, I was with all these crystals and all that. I ain't knocking that for y'all, but that ain't for me. That God in me told me, you need to lean only on me. Put your trust in me and watch what I do. And when I did that, you know, I started moving along better. Everything got a little better. It ain't perfect. It ain't great. It's a little better every time. Yep. So Start reading the story of Job in the Bible. I was asking God before that, God, why me? What I do? And you know what he told Job? Why not you? And I said, that's who I identify with. Job. I'm Job. Mm-hmm. So I had to accept that and, roll with the punches.
And it's crazy because DC Young Fly literally said the same thing for Rich Homie funeral. And that's crazy. And then I was in church and Pastor Torre, PT, talked a little bit about Job a couple of weeks ago. And so I've been feeling convicted to read that chapter as well because I just been hearing so many men talk about that. And, it's important that we hold that accountability and we communicate. I think for me, I learned as a boyfriend or, a romantic interest, I always thought, as long as I don't cheat on you, I'm good.
Me too.
I always thought, as long as I don't cheat on you, I'm good. But that's not the end all be all. No. I always thought as long as I show up and I treat you nice, I'm going to take you out, I'm going to foot the bill, I'm going to make sure we, do this and do that, I'm good. That's not the end all be all. I think my biggest issues in past situations that I have been in is I'm a great communicator with stuff like this. Like, this is my niche, but I don't communicate my hurts and traumas in romantic situations. And it causes it to look like I'm retreating or being sneaky when I'm really not, because I'm not on that type of time ever. But it causes it to paint that picture. And I think that I had to get an understanding that silence doesn't cause a person to walk away. It pushes a person
them
away. Because when you're silent, it gives an idle mind and gives room to overthinking and intrusive thoughts. Yeah. And all you really have to do, you be so afraid that if I communicate this, it's going to be an issue or it's going to be a problem. But you would rather face that head on than to allow a thought to fester in somebody's head that something's going on with you that's not really going on. Mm-hmm. And so I had to learn that, in a difficult situation, because I'm just thinking if I do this, I'm good. I ain't got to talk about that. But no, that ain't true. You got to share all those aspects, and you got to be able to uncover all of those things. And I think that is what has made me better and has made me grow, tremendously so quickly, is really understanding that it takes more than just not cheating. And then being at a point, too, where you got to be firm about what you got going on and protecting that. Yeah. No, you might not entertain entities by making them think, they could come in and talk to you or get you from your significant other, but you also shouldn't even be responding to that.
Exactly.
You shouldn't even leave room for response. I think I learned that in a very hard way as well. It's you can be kind all you want to, but when somebody has ill intentions for what you got going on. You might not have bad intentions, or you might approach every situation nice and be like, I don't want to be mean to anybody. But no, you got to be able to check whoever when it comes to your significant other, because you don't want it to look like you would engage in it, even though your heart wouldn't. And so
a lot of these people, man, they see you happy,
and they want to tap in.
Their whole purpose is to destroy that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They don't even really. To be honest, a lot of them people don't even want to be with you.
Yep.
They want to just destroy what you got, your happiness. And to touch on the last point, a lot of us just don't listen either. Mm-hmm. We don't listen. Because if I'm being honest, my significant other was telling me over and over and over again. But my thought in my mind was, this woman will never leave me. Because that's what she was telling me. Boy, I'll never leave you. But she kept telling me, man, you're not taking me on no dates. It's just, we just working. She was letting me know. But in my mind, I got time. I'm going to take her out next week. Then next week turn into next month. She was letting me know. So, however it went, whatever happened, I got a fault in it. You know what I'm saying? It ain't just, like I told you, boy, I never talk bad about that woman. I don't care what she did. When we broke up, whatever. I never talk bad about her because she gave me something I never experienced. You know what I'm saying? And I always have a piece of that with me. And also, this showed me how to be by myself and be the man I need to be. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, I don't know, like, how others feel about it, but the little 50-50 thing, you know, when they say, man, go 50-50. I don't care nothing about that. I've been paying my bills for 3 years by myself. So whatever you add, contribute, it's cool. I want the love. I want the companionship. I don't care nothing about none of the other stuff. So that's where I'm at, man.
So really quickly, talk to us a little bit before we close it out on just, you know, getting yourself to that point where you really locked in and chose to bounce back. Like, tell us a little bit about that story. Paint that picture for us, because you go through all this hurt. The kids leave, and, you know, the woman you think you're going to spend the rest of your life with leave. You lose weight. You get health conditions, but you still don't stay down. You keep getting up. You keep getting up. Men, keep getting up. Do not stop. I can't stress that enough. Don't stop getting up. We have a responsibility to ourselves, not even the people who are connected with us, to ourselves, to keep getting up. Yep. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm going to tell you, one of the guys I look up to the most in as far as public speaking and all that, E.T., he said something very powerful to me. He said, never hold your head down, because if you can look up, you can get up. Mm-hmm. And I always held strong to that, like, man, I don't care what's going on with me. I'm not one of them guys to give much about dying. Mm-hmm. So if you can't threaten me with death, what else? You know, what else can you threaten me with? Because dying is the ultimate, right? I don't care nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? As long as I'm right with God, I'm cool. Yep. But choosing to bounce back, because it's definitely a choice. It's a choice. Like I say, man, I didn't sleep for 45 days. And I had to go to work every day, you know, to provide for my kids and make sure we didn't get evicted. Make sure this just didn't get as bad as it could have got. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to decide, man, and look up to God. Mm-hmm. That's really all you can do. Yep. Especially if you was in the same mode I was in, bro. Remember, I ain't got no mama. My mama gone. Been gone since 2006. I don't got nothing but a dad and a sister. That's it. Yep. Black sheep of the family. Can't call on nobody. You got to decide. Live or die.
Show choice.
That's it.
And I equate that to what you tell me every day in the gym. Form matters. Mm-hmm. Whenever you lifting them weights and you going up in the weight, head up, chest up, every day. No matter what the exercise is, mm-hmm. And that is the one thing that's consistent. Leg day. Yeah. That's consistent with back and buys. That's consistent with tricep. My arms are literally hurting right now, by the way, based on these exercises that we did this week. I'm not looking forward to next week. But no matter which day it is or what part of the body we working out, the form is the same.
Absolutely. In
each one of those, no matter what rep we go up, mm-hmm. what weight we go up, head up, chest up, in everything. Whether I'm lunging, whether I'm lifting.
I also tell you, how bad you want it.
How bad do you want it? You got to get it in your mind.
That's the same thing with life. How bad do you want it? Do you want to sit in your thoughts and your hurt, or do you want to live?
Yeah, you choose. So as we get ready to close, our last little thing, looking back on your journey and looking ahead to where you're going, when you think about it holistically, what is it that you want the world to remember?
I don't like holistically.
You say what?
I was just playing.
When you think about the big picture, the whole thing, golly, what do you want the world to remember about Bryce?
What I want the world to remember about me is I never gave up. I always kept God first. That's the biggest thing I want you to remember. When you thinking of me, know I always acknowledge God in whatever I do. Whatever it is, I'm going to acknowledge God. I remember I told God, if you get me out of this, I'm going to always tell the world about you. And I ain't never stopped since.
Ain't going to stop.
I'm still inside of it, but I'm still going to tell him about God and what he can do and who he been to me. Some people, they They don't want to go to the higher power because they so caught up in self. Mm-hmm. You got to die to yourself.
Yep.
You really do. And I ain't where I want to be, but I ain't where I was. Yep. So I just thank God for that. And, man, as long as you keep God first, bro, you're going to be all right.
Going to be all right.
Yep. Everything going to be all right.
My brother, I thank you for this conversation. This was one of the most liberating conversations, and I think it's going to be so important.
Y'all made me cry. You know? But you couldn't see because I had my glasses on, I'm a G.
That's all right. That's all right. That's what we do on Relentlessly Becoming. We had those conversations that tap into our emotions, and we get through them. But I just want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for being a really strong presence in my life. Barber, brother, trainer. All of that extracurricular stuff, more than anything, just your advice, your wisdom, the conversation, it does not go unnoticed, and it is never unappreciated.
And I appreciate you for having me, bro. For
sure. For I thank you. And so thank you for joining me today, and I couldn't be more excited to see where we got to go next.
Yes, sir.
And they're going to have to check in with us when his body gets to where it got to go in a couple months. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, y'all, as y'all can see, it is very important for us as men, as black men, to be able to have an outlet to really get into those emotions and share. And I think that the thing that we dissected today in this conversation is the art of bouncing back is rooted in the spirit of never giving up. You have to make sure that you wake up every day with the mindset of keeping going, of falling to your knees to pray, but always standing back up. It may get a little weary. You may not be able to do it as strong as you did it yesterday, but the fact is you're doing it again today. And that is what makes you relentless. And that is how you relentlessly become who you need you to be. So to my brothers, near and far, this one's for you. See you all soon. Thank you for joining me on Relentlessly Become.